Now you're going to learn why no one ever checks out of the Katz Motel.
Just because Halloween is over doesn't mean the spooky times can't continue. Courage the Cowardly Dog premiered in 1999 on November 4th. Created and directed by John R. Doworth, this show blends comedy and horror in a mastery that I have never seen before. It provided a springboard that spiritual successors such as Gravity Falls, Amphibia, and The Owl House could emulate. This November, all month long, I'm going to go over every episode of the show, or at least as much as I can. This is my favorite animated series to date. Let's review Courage the Cowardly Dog. After the pilot episode, The Chicken from Outer Space, A Night at the Katz Motel is a classic. Written by John R. Doworth and Irvin S. Bauer, this episode is light on the laughs and heavy on the scares. We start off as the Bag family, Eustace, Muriel, and their dog Courage, stay at the Katz Motel back from vacation. It is there we meet Katz, a red anthropomorphic cat with a hatred for dogs. We also see Eustace's hatred for Courage, Muriel's love for Courage, and a cameo from The Chicken from Outer Space. Katz then terrorizes the Bag family one by one by sicking his brood of spiders on them. After a few gags recycled from the pilot, Courage tries to save Muriel, but goes after Eustace instead, a rare occurrence in the series.
Wake up! Wake up!
After running away from Katz and a few more scares along the way, Katz says his iconic line,
"A little sport before dying, dear boy,"
and challenges Courage to a game of handball. However, Katz does not play fair and Courage loses, forcing Muriel to save him. Another rare occurrence for the series.
That's a fancy blanket Grandpa has on. Maybe we should get you one.
Muriel then takes Courage and Eustace home, and with a quick joke, we end the episode.
Oh, God.
The Katz Motel is a parody of the Bates Motel from the Alfred Hitchcock film Psycho, down to a pivotal bathing scene. Watching this episode again gave me a lot of nostalgia, but also I was very impressed by how it was done. The tension kept racking up throughout, with every trap and trick that Katz tried, and even when he wasn't doing anything, he was scary on his own. I love his monotone British accent, his calm and angry demeanor when playing handball, and the way he can just flip the switch right to serious at a moment's notice. He is quite the charming sociopath. Part of that goes to the voice of Paul Scheffler, who does an amazing job with Katz and many other characters. His demeanor is wonderful in the episode, and when you can see the cracks, it's even funnier.
I wish you hadn't done that.
He does have a lot of scary moments and unpredictability, but I really think he is the best villain that Courage has put out. As for our heroes of the story, Courage, voiced by Marty Grabstein, was in top form this episode. He screams, runs around, saves the day, and makes side comments.
It may be a good night for you. You'll be in a warm bed.
He may only have a few lines in the episode, but his reactions to everything are what counts. And what reactions they are, including transformations, as well as pulling things from behind his back. Courage is basically a jack of all trades. Muriel, voiced by the late Theo White, is the heart of the show. She's incredibly kind to Courage and really cares about his well-being. In this episode, she provided most of the parody for Psycho during the bathtub scene. I was surprised that Courage didn't save her. She defeated the monster, and she also defeated the main villain of the episode. The ending of the episode, however, shows that Muriel can be very oblivious and probably too trusting of things around her, lending credence to Courage constantly saving her.
Come on, Courage. We're leaving. The service here stinks.
I'm still surprised that Courage went to save Eustace, voiced by the late Lionel Wilson, instead of Muriel. It's shown here that Eustace scares Courage almost randomly whenever he feels like it, although he does get his comeuppance.
What did I do?
Sadly and predictably for his character and age, he does fall asleep for most of the episode. As shown later on in the series and in another Katz episode, Eustace would not take this lying down.
This looks like a crummy place to end a crummy vacation.
As an arachnophobic person, I find the spiders not really that scary. They are more cool looking than frightening. The red, blue, and green spiders that attacked Courage, Eustace, and Muriel are actually a reference to red, blue, and green coloration in televisions. Combining those colors together makes a picture happen, so that's pretty cool.
My loves, dinner has arrived.
The art direction is amazing in this series. It uses a composite of actual animation with backgrounds from real life as well as realistic wood grain textures. I love how every sky in this show can be from an alien planet. It's fascinating. The worn out concrete in the back half of the episode when they were underground was a nice little touch. The animation itself is really nice. I love how the characters move and act. I just find that there were a lot of repeating moments, such as the spider's movement. The best thing about this episode for me is the score. The composer for the show, Jody Gray, did an amazing job with this and every other episode. The music is incredibly memorable and I love it all. The intro theme comes to a wonderful crescendo with those strings. Katz's theme has an amazing beat and is really discordant to the character. And every little creak and low cello noise and other one-note sounds in this episode are wonderful and really rack the tension up. A Night at the Katz Motel is probably the perfect starter episode for this show. It really tells you what you're getting into. Yes, there are other lighthearted episodes in the series, but this one is really high on the scares.
There's no place to run, and no place to hide.
I really enjoyed this episode, and I'd rate it perfect. Hello everyone, and thank you so much for watching so far. Make sure to click like, subscribe, share, and leave a comment. You can also click the bell icon for more creativity. Now let's get back to it. The next episode, Cajun Granny Stew, is very heavy on the laughs. Written by Dilworth and Bauer, once again, this episode is pretty funny. A so-called Cajun fox is trying to fix a stew and he needs a granny to do it. While feeding birds in the park, Muriel falls asleep and the fox comes along.
Now that's what I call one cute little old granny.
He takes Muriel away from Courage, and thus a chase ensues to get her back. Throughout various locales and different means, Courage and the fox trade off Muriel like a hot potato.
Just rest your head, my darling. Leave everything to me.
They eventually end up with the fox in the stew and Courage and Muriel safe and sound.
I've had enough Cajun for one day.
Next to an episode like A Night at the Katz Motel, Cajun Granny Stew is a breath of fresh air. It works really well as a companion to A Night at the Katz Motel, showing that the show can be really scary but also really funny. A lot of jokes and gags from this episode were lifted from Looney Tunes itself, seeing as Courage and Looney Tunes both share a home at Warner Brothers.
Oh my.
Something I appreciate about this episode is that it isn't all jokes, there's a lot of moments of quiet and silence. I also appreciate the minor world building this episode has, as little as it may be. We see a park, a city, a few isolated buildings, and even a payphone in the vicinity.
Help! Help!
The show will eventually flesh out the town of nowhere more than this episode does, but I appreciate what's here. What isn't here, or who isn't here, is Eustace, who is absent for the entire episode, the first and only time in the series. What's even more interesting is we haven't even seen where the Bag family lives. We'll be covering that in the next episode. The Cajun Fox is an interesting character showing up here, as well as one more episode later on. I like his design both with and without glasses. Without glasses, he is way more Dilworthian, whereas with glasses, he's really cool. I love the way he runs and moves like a fox, but also like a crafty character. My only problem with the Cajun Fox is that he looks way too much like Katz to be in an episode right next to him. The Cajun Fox is once again voiced by Paul Scheffler, showing a way different range than before. The voice is nice and gravelly as opposed to the smooth talking sociopath of Katz, so that's pretty nice.
That was some ride.
Courage is even more scared in this episode, I believe, but also more brave as well. He does way too many things a cowardly dog would do and lives up to his namesake. I appreciate how he and the Cajun Fox both share sarcastic barbs at each other, as well as some kind of camaraderie with keeping Muriel safe. They also can both pull off a pretty nifty scream. Muriel's even more oblivious in this episode, and it's really funny. She's asleep for most of the episode like Eustace was last one, so I guess with these sleeping episodes out of the way, we can get some more action from them next.
I'm just having one of those floating dreams. Oh well.
She also shows how adept she is at cooking without even being seen cooking yet. She knows Cajun Fox stew right off the bat.
Is that Cajun Fox stew?
Other minor characters in the episode, such as the birds, are really funny, as well as the policewoman sounds delightfully bored.
Hello. Police department.
The best side character in the episode has to be William, who owns a salami shop. That line,
Hey! Come back here with that salami!
will always be one of my favorites and really funny. So much so that it pops in my head from time to time. The music in this episode is very good. There are a lot of motifs and themes we will hear later on in the series, and there are some new ones as well. The Cajun Fox theme is a really nice song, however it does show up a lot for my taste, but I do think it has some nice variants. The plane ride scene has a really nice theme, as well as the scene before Courage gets run over by the steamroller.
Hello again.
While not the best episode, Cajun Granny Stew is still really fun. It provides an homage to the Looney Tunes of old with a modern spin put on it. What it lacks in plot, it somewhat makes up for in gags as well as character animation.
You see? I win!
While this episode isn't my favorite of all time, I do appreciate it and would place it somewhere near the middle.
That dog is becoming a real pain in my...
This episode had a few flaws. I'd rate it good. Overall, this is a great start to the series. We get a scary episode and a lighthearted episode in the same half hour. While I felt like A Night at the Katz Motel was a stronger episode, Cajun Granny Stew was pretty good also. If I had to pick one, it would be A Night at the Katz Motel, but if you want to watch Cajun Granny Stew, watch them back to back. So that was 2 episodes of Courage the Cowardly Dog. Let me know which episode was your favorite in the comments. I'll see you next time with another pair of episodes. Stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching Jesse Hecht Creative. Feel free to click like, subscribe, share, or leave a comment. You can also visit us at jessehechtcreative.com, where you'll find more reviews like this one. Thanks again for watching and keep being creative. Stay tuned.